Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Monday Night Raw results from Glasgow, Scotland. It was spoiled earlier today, but I didn't get the news until about 15 minutes after Raw started. Okay, and superstars as well. Happy birthday, King Kong Bundy. Real name of Christopher Pallies, turned 59 years old. Tony Schiavone turned 59 years old. Joey Ryan, real name Joseph Meehan, turned 37 years old. Muhammad Hassan, aka Mark Capani, turned 35. Nick Magnus Aldis, the husband of Mickie James, turned 30 on Saturday. Here's hoping that his wife Mickie, working on for NXT now, means that he'll get a look as well, if that's something he's interested in. The late Sky Low, Marcel Gauthier, real name, died at the age of 70 on November 6, 1998. Dark matches that were advertised for Raw. Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship. Roman Reigns versus Rusev for the U.S. Championship. Previously reported from Hannibal TV, recently interviewing former WCW and WWE superstar Dogface Gremlin Rick Steiner. And here are some highlights from the interview. Steiner commented on enjoying his time in WCW. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience. It was a new company for Ted. He treated us great. It was a new company, so experiencing new things. It wasn't established, so we had a bit more longitude to get things done and to do things and to try new things and stuff like that, because they were just starting the new company up. I really enjoyed it. WCW was probably the best company to work for, being in the business back then. Just with the family orientation and the way that Ted used it with TNT, Turner Network, and everything like that. We were home a lot. It was kind of geared towards the family, so we could be here in Atlanta. And so I really had a good experience with it. Steiner on being part of wrestling's boom period. When we come back into it, it was just the NWO. It was just, infancy period. We came back and we were getting established back into the thing. And then they brought Scott Hall, Kevin, Hulk, and did the NWO, and it just exploded. It was really kind of cool to be involved with it. Already was a nationally recognized thing in the entertainment business. But now football teams, baseball teams, everybody was acknowledging NWO and WCW and the wrestling entertainment business. I don't know if you remember, but we were having movie stars coming in wrestling and being part of the show. Basketball players like Rodman, different things. People just wanted to be a part of it. You couldn't go anywhere without being recognized. My brother and I, hell, we enjoyed it. Steiner on splitting up, and with him and his brother in WCW, being Eric Bischoff's idea. It was Eric. I forget where we were on the road. I think in Canada somewhere, or Oregon. He comes up in his room with us in the hotel and kind of sat us down and had the idea we had. Been in the business now, and I think 10 years as a team. Wrestled everybody. Eric felt like we needed to take the next step in being singles. We had already done the singles thing. I had gotten injured, and my brother was thinking about the NWO thing. So they brought us up and went over it, and it was time to do something. It was a time for a change. It ended up working for my brother. He changed his gimmick a little bit and blossomed out. I kind of changed my deal a little bit too. It was all good. I thought it was fine. It was just time. And Steiner commented on what the reaction was to Vince Russo joining WCW. I think there was a lot of skepticism because he had been coming from Vince. They brought him in. He didn't have any credibility other than supposedly coming up with the Steve Austin gimmick. So with us guys who had been in the business for a while, it was like, you got to show me more than one guy. You're always skeptic about a new boss coming in, whether he can do the job or not. And I think everybody was skeptic at first. Then he kind of favored Jeff Jarrett with some of that entourage that was going on there. We kept him at arm's length, questioned a lot of stuff he wanted to do. I guess it all didn't matter because in 2001, it was over. And then Rick commented on not having a good relationship with Vince Russo. I never really had one. He came in towards the end there. Him and my brother got along great. I never really had any dealings with him. Some of the ideas he had, I didn't really agree with, and I didn't do them. There was no arguing or anything like that. I just didn't agree with him, with some of it. If I didn't like it, I just went to Eric. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on toward the end. There was Russo, Eric, and Hogan. So there was a lot of turmoil going on with that whole entity. And I just stayed out of it and did my job. Kept my nose clean, did what I thought was right, and that was it. And that concluded the highlights for his interview. Hulk Hogan may return to WWE for WrestleMania 33. According to Hogan's daughter, Brooke, who recently told TMZ that WWE had been in contact with the Hulkster regarding a return at WWE's biggest pay-per-view of the year. I'll just say I know that people have been calling him for WrestleMania, although Hogan had at one point essentially been wiped from WWE's hard drive after he was fired by the company in 2015. He recently reached a $31 million settlement with Gawker in his invasion of privacy lawsuit. With his legal issues seemingly behind him, the widespread expectation is that he'll be back in WWE at some point, especially after WWE has slowly but surely begun promoting him more often on the WWE network. And Hogan's daughter, Brooke, recently told them, and she's quoted by saying, "I'll just say I know that people have been calling him for WrestleMania," unquote. According to WrestlingNewsWorld.com, Vince McMahon is indeed interested in bringing the Hulkster back into the fold. As they reported for months that the company has been slowly warming back to Hogan to bring him back in order to help market the WWE Network to the lapsed fans. That return could very well be WrestleMania 33, and though it's unclear exactly what type of role WWE would use Hogan in, possibly just as an ambassador, Hogan has campaigned for a possible WrestleMania retirement match in the past. As we all know, crazier things have happened in the wild world of pro wrestling. So let's just take a look at 5 potential WrestleMania 33 matches if the unthinkable happens and Hogan does get one more match in WWE. First, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns in many ways, a lot like Hogan in that they're among the most polarizing figures in WWE history. They're both beloved by the majority of the fans, but they've often been criticized for having limited movesets, overrated in ring skills, and being pushed beyond their talent level. No matter which side of the fence that you fall on, there's no doubt that Hogan versus Reigns would generate a lot of buzz and hype as a clash between two stars who are hated by some but loved by many. The spear, the big boot, the Superman punch, the leg drop. Those are the movesets. This match wouldn't be a classic by any means, but in terms of the attraction it would be and the raucous fan reaction it would generate, there aren't many matches that could top Reigns versus Hogan. Another one, Undertaker, but don't think that's going to happen. Undertaker has already probably got Jeff Hardy on the map. And speaking of Undertaker, he is advertised for SmackDown. If WWE wants to avoid having The Undertaker beat an up-and-comer WrestleMania 32 opponent, which should be the case, and avoid the possibility of him getting injured, putting him against an older, less risky opponent is undoubtedly the right move. But in my opinion, it won't happen because of other possibilities for Undertaker. My guess would be Jeff Hardy in a Hell in a Cell match, as Jeff commented that's what his dream match would be, and his retirement match. Undertaker versus Hogan would fit that, but I think they've already had that match before. But it a sheer spectacle between the two icons who've had nearly unparalleled longevity in the pro wrestling business and still have a massive fan base as well. Why have The Undertaker beat another rising star at WrestleMania? Or why have Hogan do the same? If they're going to both be used at WrestleMania, then putting them against one another is the best way to avoid burying a young talent while putting on a very marketable Legends match in the process. But again, legendary Jeff Hardy. Another idea. Alright, if you're going to go with an upcoming star, Kevin Owens. In a recent interview with ESPN, Hogan put over Kevin Owens in a major way, praising him as one of WWE's best stars. One of the guys who was in WWE before they let me go, he said. And I don't know if he was on anybody's radar or anybody watching him. Who you would never expect Hogan to point out was Kevin Owens. As Hogan said, I told Triple H, this kid, Kevin Owens, no matter how he looks physically, and no matter what you think about him, when he walks out, he's over in such a weird way. There may be nothing to it, but given that Owens is currently being booked as Raw's top heel, and Hogan is one of the most beloved babyfaces ever, there's a natural story built in there for the legend to want to take down the hot-headed, up-and-coming heel. Owens has proven to be a main event caliber villain, but even as a Universal Champion, WWE hasn't taken him fully over the hump yet due to shaky bookings. That could change with a WrestleMania main event against a guy like Hogan, who could put him over on the greatest stage of them all. Heck, if you're going to do that, bring back Sting. Crazier things have happened, haven't they? The story aspect of the Beyond okay, those were the only guys that was announced. I only seen 1, 2, 3. Roman Reigns, Undertaker, and Kevin Owens. That's 3. Heck, that's another good match. Why not have Hogan versus Jeff Hardy? You heard it here first. Or if you're going to do the legends, why not have a triple threat Hell in a Cell? First ever. Again, my idea. Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy versus the Hulkster brother. Well, let me tell you one thing, Mean Gene. Yeah, that's my impersonation. Well, going on the storytelling aspect of Beyond Wrestling, full effect tonight. A lot of matches on the card, shortened a lot of matches, and took away some of the in-ring action. There was a lot of comedy and a lot of matches tonight, which also took away from the show. Regardless, Beyond still put on a pretty good show, and the crowd really enjoyed and stayed up despite the length of the card. Pre-show bonus match saw Karen Q defeating Angie Sky in an entertaining back-and-forth match. Karen did an excellent job in the babyface role, showing a lot of great fire as she made her comeback to score the win with the Boston Crab. Non-tournament match, Chris Hero versus the Kingpin, Brian Milyanis. The stems from the feud Milyanis has had with Hero's regular partner, JT Dunn. After defeating Dunn at this venue a couple of months prior, Hero is looking for payback. This battle of the big men, both are definitely super heavyweights in the world of independent wrestling. Hero spent the match in control and chose to work over the nose of Milanos. Yes, you read that correctly. Nose. Or heard that correctly. Nose. He deserves credit for coming up with clever moves to continue to build the heat for the Milanos comeback. Well, the reporter spelled his name as Milianos, and then later on changed it to Milanos. The story of the finish was that it took a few extra elbows to be able to end the match. But Hero got the win with a death by elbow. He took the mic after the match and said that he had done Run Beyond, and that while his match may be over, death by elbow isn't done for the night. Tournament for today's women's first round match, Lufisto versus Taylor Hendricks. Story of this match was who would be able to grind the other out first. Both women used more striking and power offense to wear the other one out. Then at one point, Taylor kicked Lufisto really hard in the face. While Lufisto was in a seated position, that looked painful. The finish saw Alexis distract Lufisto at ringside, allowing Taylor to kick her twice from behind and scored a pinfall. While Alexis held Lufisto's foot, it seemed like they couldn't find rhythm, and that was a tough match. Tournament for today's men's first round match, John Silver versus Donovan Dijak. That name's familiar with Ring of Honor. Silver was at a complete size disadvantage and was using leg kicks to try and chop Dijak down. He was successful for a little while, but eventually Dijak's size and power was too much. Silver got in some great offense with a big near fall with an impressive spinning blue thunder bomb that sent the crowd into a frenzy. Dijak ended up finishing the match with an impressive fashion with a feast your eyes, but only after he was on the ropes with a flurry of offense by Silver. Really looking forward to Silver's continuing singles push in the Beyond company, as he is really good, unique talent. Tournament for today's women's first round match, Alexis versus Deonna Purrazzo. Formerly Tough Enough. Alexis had her fellow Secret City Soldier in Davey Cash, Chris Pyro, and Anthony Stone at ringside with her. This came into play a couple of times with them pushing the rope forward so Alexis could break a submission, and also causing a distraction so Cash could use a baseball bat to choke Deonna on the ropes. Referee Kevin Quinn was dropping the ball big time on that one, so I guess referee botch. Alexis spent the rest of the match getting the heat on Deonna. This led to another distraction that caused a near fall, but Deonna kicked out, then got Alexis in an armbar for the quick submission. Good quick tournament match from them. Tournament for today's men's first round, Jocko versus Jonathan Gresham, formerly of WWE. This match went the way I expected, in the sense that Gresham was doing the best to keep the match on the mat, while Jocko was using a lot of quick, strong strikes to keep Gresham on the mat and away from him. Solid game plan and terrific work by the two veterans. Gresham then went after the foot and toes of Jocko on offense to neutralize one of his best weapons. From there, it was back and forth until Jocko missed a huge spinning back kick, and Gresham caught him with an octopus submission for the win. Really good match after the match. Jocko got on the mic and put Gresham over, saying that they have both changed a lot since the last time they wrestled in 2011. Another first round women's match, Sonya Strong versus Kimber Lee. Sonya jumped Kimber before the match with a suicide dive to the floor, followed by two more in a row after that. A nice change of pace to open the match. This was a really hard-hitting match. Sonya, who has typically been a babyface and beyond, took on the role of the heel and worked over Kimber for the majority of the match. They both did a great job. Sonya was in control when Kimber reversed and hit a power bomb with a deep leg pinning combination for the win. Tournament for today's first round match, men's division, Chris Dickinson versus Matt Riddle. Riddle out with Chuck O'Neal to continue their partnership, but once the match was about to start, Riddle told Chuck to head to the back because he could handle business by himself. This was a striking clinic. These guys went in there and were throwing really hard. Dickinson with big kicks early, which got a big response from Riddle that saw him get in a rare fired up mood. Yelling, that's how you effing ground and pound. This is a short but explosion and extremely entertaining match. Match ended with Riddle ducked a kick, hit one of his own, followed by a big forearm and a flurry of strikes for the pinfall. O'Neal came into the ring afterwards to celebrate. They went towards Dickinson, but Jaka hit the ring to save his team Pazuzu partner. Tournament for today's first round match, women's division, Veda Scott versus Jessica Havoc. Havoc with a size and strength advantage that ended up being a part of the story of this match. As Veda began to have a little momentum, Havoc would then hulk up and cut her off, and it made a weird dynamic given that Veda was a heel. But they made up for it when Havoc was on offense because the crowd was very much into it. Havoc was going for a big power bomb when Veda rolled out of it and scored a huge upset with a roll up for the pin. The crowd popped big for it, and so the dynamic that was mentioned wasn't weird as anyone thought. Tournament for today's men's first round match, Keith Lee versus Zack Sabre Jr. The story was that Zack was having problems overcoming the distinct size difference between them to be able to get in the groove and do his technical thing. It took a lot of doing, but he was eventually able to get the submission attempts throughout the match. There was a really impressive spot in the middle where they were grappling and Zack went to the mat and did a neck bridge. Lee jumped right on top and put Zack in a pin. But Zack bridged with Lee on top of him. The crowd went nuts for that one. From there, with Sabre constantly going for his usual technical wizardry, while Lee would eventually power out of it. Sabre was working on Lee's right arm really hard for the duration. Lee with a huge and impressive jackhammer for a 2 count. Lee was attempting to roll out of a roll, but ended up getting pinned with a really cool bridging pin for the win. Excellent match. Winner of the match, Keith Lee. Main event, the Hit Squad of Monster Mac and Dan Maff versus American Destroyers of Donovan Dijak and Mikey Webb. So, Dijak looks like he had 2 matches in the night. And he was selling his neck and shoulder from earlier. The story early on was that Webb and Dijak were having a fun time, but Maff quickly put an end to it by tossing Webb around the ring. From there, the Hit Squad dominated the proceedings. They ended up getting the heat on Dijak until the hot tag to Webb. He went off for a little while until things evened out, and it became a back-and-forth match from that point with a lot of double teaming from both teams. The finish came when Dijak hit a huge boot, and Webb hit a sunset flip for the win. Pretty decent main event that seemed to pick up the intensity a little too late in the match. Winner of the match, American Destroyers. After the match, as they were all giving each other props, the Hit Squad turned and beat down Dijak and Webb. Maff hit Dijak with a burning hammer to end the segment and the show to complete their heel turn. Mac got on the mic and said that they did this because the fans and the company didn't give them the respect they deserved. There was a long intermission, and that was actually a doubleheader. Once that ended, the second show started. Non-tournament match. Sami Callihan and Scarlett and Graves, Dave Christ, Desmond Xavier, and Zachary Wentz versus Crusade for Change of Darius Carter, Anthony Gangone, Devin Blaze, and Tommy Trainwreck. Hey, they stole my backyard wrestling name. Not Tommy the Train. Crusade for the Change have been on a long winning streak and beyond and have been complaining for a long time that they don't get a proper respect that they deserve from the company. That has led them to continue their run of open challenge to any opponents. This prompted the return of both Sami Callihan and Scarlett Graves. Typical Crusade fashion, this match was non-stop action from all the involved parties with no tags, rhyme, or reason. And in typical Crusade fashion, the crowd ate it up. There wasn't an endless amount of dive out to the floor. It was wild and there was way too much action to try and call. I'll say this, though, it was a really exciting opener and everyone involved deserves a lot of credit for working hard and not having it all fall apart. The finish of the match saw a lot of near falls before the Carter hit the code breaker for the win. A really exciting match. Crusade for Change won the match. Tournament for today's semifinals. Veda Scott versus Deonna Purrazzo. Very good scientific mat work early on. Both women working for an armbar. Veda established herself early as a heel again. Crowd got into Deonna selling from the bottom, with her occasionally going for submission as her comeback, only to be stuffed by Veda. Really solid match. Deonna continued to establish herself as one of the very best female professional wrestlers on the independent scene, and anywhere for that matter. Veda also stepped up to her game and did a great job. Finish saw Veda run Deonna into the turnbuckle and roll her up for the win. Winner in advancing, Veda Scott. Tournament for today's men's semifinal, Matt Riddle versus Jonathan Gresham. Not that long of a match, very intense, really well executed. Both men looked crisp and were great at the up-tempo pace. Lots of reversals, hard strikes for both men. Gresham mainly working from under to try and get back in the match. Finish saw Gresham have the octopus stretch on Riddle when O'Neal hit the apron to distract the referee. Gresham dropped the hold, which allowed Riddle to recover. Then got Gresham down and locked in the bro mission for the win. Non-tournament match, Solo Darling and Team C-Stars of Delmy Exo and Ashley Fox versus Belmont, Davian, and Sammy Lane. Solo and the C-Stars spent most of the match selling, with the other girls doing a functional job getting heat on them. Solo and the C-Stars weren't able to rally the crowd for a comeback. Winners of the match. The finish saw Solo hit a spinning fisherman suplex with a cradle on Belmont. But Davian rolled him over and Belmont got the pinfall. Belmont, Davian, and Sammy Lane won the match. Non-tournament match, Brian Fury versus Warbeard Hansen. This match was dubbed as the final time ever, as Fury is retiring in December. Hansen returns to face his old friend one more time. Classic storytelling, neither guy had to kill themselves to get the crowd invested. Hansen worked over Fury to rally the crowd behind the retiring local hero. Hansen got a number of near falls on Fury heading into the finish. Fury thought he finally had it when he locked in the Boston crowd, but Hansen got the ropes. Big pop on a false finish after Hansen hit Fury with a fire thunder driver. Hansen went for the springboard knee, missed, and came out of the corner, but Fury rolled him into a Boston Crab for the win. Excellent match. After the match, Hansen took the mic and put Fury over, telling him very simply that he loves him. Tournament for today's women's semifinals, Taylor Hendricks versus Kimberly, with, Taylor had Alexis in her corner. Quick match. Alexis distracted referee. Taylor got a chair and went for the headshot. Missed, and Kimber kicked the chair in her face and got the pin. Jordine Grace also pulled Alexis off the apron to end the distraction and let the referee make the count. Tournament for today's men's semifinal. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Donovan Dijak. Dijak did a very heavy sell coming into the ring once the bell rang. He went for a quick win because of his injuries. When which was great storytelling, he went for the feast your eyes, but his already injured knee gave out. From there, Sabre went to work for the submission on the knee and the arm. This was a slow build, with Zach doing his best to get the heat on Dijak for his comeback. Sabre did a tremendous job with a submission attempt and stiff strikes to wear Dijak down. A great display of selling by Dijak until he was finally able to hit the feast your eyes out of nowhere, scored a pinfall. Non-tournament match, massive massage envy of Dorian Graves and VSK versus Johnny Cockstrong versus Secret City Soldiers of Anthony Stone, Davey Cash, and Chris Pyro, with Alexis in the corner. This was a lot of comedy on the part of Massage Envy and Cockstrong. Massage Envy did spots where they massaged their opponents, and Cockstrong uses his groin. And all of it's really embarrassing to watch as a wrestling fan. This was a match. The finish saw Cash and Pyro hit top rope flapjack combo on VSK for the pinfall. Winner of the match, Secret City Soldiers. Non-tournament match, Joey Janela versus Hot Sauce, Tracy Williams. Williams looked particularly fired up for this one, as his offense was a little more intense than usual. Williams spent the majority of the match on top until Janela faked an injury, which allowed Penelope Ford and ringside to come in and hit Williams with a cartwheel splash in the corner. From there, Janela got the heat on Hot Sauce. There were a few near fall toward the end. The finish saw Hot Sauce close to a pin, went forward pulling the referee out of the ring. Low blow with a package side slam by Janela for the victory. Non-tournament match, Gentlemen's Club of Chuck Taylor, Drew Glock, and Orange Cassidy, with Swamp Monster versus Team Pazuzu of Mike Drastic, Angel Ortiz, and Pinky Sanchez. Another comedy match. Lots from both teams, and when it looked like they were going to get into a tag team match, more comedy broke out. Then some moves would happen, and more comedy happened. What can I say? The live crowd really enjoyed it. The finish saw EYFBO, Hulk Cassidy, up in a bridge to let Sanchez hit a double stomp from the top for the pinfall. Winners of the match, Team Pazuzu. Women's finals, Veda Scott versus Kimberly. The match started in the ring, quickly spilled to the floor where they went all through the rope, through the venue. This included the bar and Mama Colorado's Kitchen, which is the mother and father of the promoter who run a food table at every show. And it's delicious, by the way. They also went into the wall with the Hit Squad and Tabernacle the team put a hole in a few months ago. Risky stuff there. Good back and forth stuff between them. Their offense looked good. And they did a good job building towards the end. The finish saw Kimberly win the tournament with a big top rope sit out powerbomb. Pretty decent match. And the men's finals, Matthew Riddle with Chuck O'Neal versus Donovan Dijak. Dijak outselling his injuries from his 3 prior matches really hard. Riddle, on the other hand, looked fresh. Before the match could start, JT Dunn jumped Dijak and hit him from behind with a huge elbow. Dunn got on the mic and said he got off a plane from Chicago and saw tweets saying Dijak was in the finals, but since it's his company, he wasn't letting it happen. Dunn went to wrestle, but the referee said no. So Dunn elbowed the ref. As Dunn was going to go after Dijak again, Mikey Webb hit the ring and speared Dunn, took him out. As the ref was signaling for the bell, Chuck O'Neal jumped on the apron and dropped Dijak's arm across the top rope to add even more to the odds against D-Jock. Riddle was relentless from that point, which allowed D-Jock to do a lot of selling rather than speed things up. Riddle did an outstanding job slowing the match down and letting the crowd organically get behind D-Jock as he kept trying to fight back. D-Jock hulked up, looked like he had it won with feast your eyes, but Riddle managed to kick out a couple of near falls from Riddle. From that point, he really fired up. He had a bro stone followed by a bro mission. D-Jock refused to tap and passed out, giving Riddle the tournament win and a victory over the Ace of Beyond. This was also D-Jock's first loss in a very long time in Beyond. Riddle remains undefeated in Beyond. Really good, emotional, compelling main event. Overall, a good show. It was not up to the standard of most recent Beyond shows due to the amount of matches, the amount of comedy in them, the lack of time given the matches. Beyond is an excellent promotion as an indie fed, but you can't win them all. Matt Hardy has forgotten who he is lately. It happened last week when he and his brother Jeff, who are the TNA Tag Team Champions, brawling backstage with a new masked trio, the DCC, while Broken Matt was battling one of them on top of a forklift, of course. Didn't they steal that from Foley versus Rock from years ago? Hardy took a nasty spill and suddenly didn't know who he was. Unfortunately, this does not seem to be very short-term amnesia because it's taken his confusion to the Twitter machine. Matt, that's your son, Maxwell. He's the sole heir to the Hardy name. Could this spell disaster for the broken universe? Stay strong and stay tuned. And there's a YouTube video for that. Unfortunately, this does not seem to be very short-term amnesia because he's taken his confusion to the Twitter machine again. At my Hardy states that people keep asking to take photos with me and yelling delete whilst moving their arm and saying, I knew you'd come. Quite perplexing. At Matt Hardy brand, I've just been informed that I have a beautiful son that's 16 months old. How delightful it is to learn that. Matt, that's your son Maxwell. He's the sole heir to the Hardy name. Could this spell disaster for the broken universe? Stay strong and stay tuned. And I commented to him. And I said, that's not, so some fan commented to him. And I said, well, that's not amnesia. That's delesia. Upon on delete, delete, delete. And they stole that from Pup Named Scooby-Doo. Who did Randy Savage want to fight in his final WWE run? Macho Man's brother, Lanny Poffo, reveals on that. Randy Savage's brother, the Genius, has revealed who did Macho Man want to square off against in his final fight at WWE. Poffo said that the WWE Hall of Famer wanted his final WWE run against Shawn Michaels. Speaking of Shawn the X-Pac Waltman's podcast, this lady was speaking on, the 61-year-old former wrestler disclosed that Savage was looking for a hair versus career match against the 1-2-3 Kid, and Randy Savage's brother, the Genius Lanny Poffo, was revealed who Macho Man wanted to square off against in his final fight at WWE. Poffo said that the WWE Hall of Famer wanted his final WWE run against Shawn Michaels, and it started a feud with him spanning over 2 years, which ultimately led to a big fight between the two wrestlers at WrestleMania. Sean Waltman's podcast disclosed that Savage was looking for a hair versus career match against the Heartbreak Kid, and then started a feud with him spanning over 2 years. However, the fight never materialized. Randy had a very bad leaving with the WWE. It was right about the time Randy was on the announcing table, right? You were there, the 1, 2, 3 kid, and doing fantastic for yourself. Well, Randy started watching and getting the bug back. You see what I mean? Savage Brother said. He started getting that maybe I'm too old thing. Maybe I can have one more match. He was always known for his match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So he could possibly start a little something with Shawn Michaels and then have a 2-year program, then have the showdown at WrestleMania. His intention was to have a hair versus career match where Shawn Michaels would shave his head or Randy would give up his career and go to the announcing booth. Papa added Randy would drop the match, go back to the announcing booth, but he wanted to end his career with a better match than he had with Steamboat. Papa also said that Savage reconciled with Hogan before his death on the 20th of May 2011. About a month before Randy died, my brother took my mom to the cardiologist, and the nurse said, "Hulk Hogan is here." Randy said, "We'll keep him there." So Randy goes in there and gives him a hug or something. Here's your scoop. In the midst of it all this drive, Randy had a blank list a mile long, right? It seemed like their last 2 months of his life, he went around making amends to everybody that he ever had any problem with, including Hulk Hogan, as Papa stressed. Let me tell you what, even at the worst, it was love-hate relationship, even at the worst, because Hulk was the Babe Ruth of wrestling, and anybody that was lucky enough to be in his shadow for a moment was instantly catapulted to success. That was Randy in 1985, and they just clicked personally, professionally, inside the ring, outside the ring, but you know things happen. And my impersonation, Macho Man Randy 7. Woo, yeah, brother, dig it. And of course, Hulk Hogan. Well, let me tell you, one thing, Mean Gene. Well, Eva Marie confirmed on Twitter that she is filming a new movie after wrapping up Inconceivable with Nicolas Cage. Eva is now filming a new project called Action One Movie from Awesomeness Films. And I'll show you a picture of the character that she's probably playing as she's taking a picture in a mirror. Natalie Eva Marie on Twitter. The hustle continues. Back on set for a new at Awesomeness Film project called Action One Movie, and I couldn't be more excited. So another delay on her WWE return. And news from Raw and what have you. Sami Zayn defeated Rusev at tonight's Raw taping from Glasgow to earn a shot against Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler for the November 20th Open Challenge Survivor Series pay-per-view match. Another updated Survivor Series card coming out of the tapings. As noted, it's possible that the Shining Stars defeated Golden Truth to take their Survivor Series spot because of something that they did a storyline thing on Raw, what have you. Well, here's what's happening. 5-on-5 traditional elimination match. Team Raw of Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, Seth Rollins versus Team SmackDown of Randy Orton, Baron Corbin, Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, and World Champion AJ Styles. 5-on-5 traditional elimination match. Women's division. Team Raw of Charlotte, Bayley, Nia Jax, Alicia Fox, and Sasha Banks versus Team SmackDown with Coach Natalya, Nikki Bella, Naomi, Becky Lynch, Carmella, and Alexa Bliss. 5-on-5 traditional tag team match. Don't know how this one's going to do because of the first ever traditional tag team elimination match. When one partner was eliminated, the other one had to leave as well. But they mentioned on Raw that this was individual, and if your tag team member got pinned, you're still in the match. Team Raw tag teams of the New Day, looks like all three members, Sheamus and Cesaro, Enzo and Big Cass, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Goldust and R-Truth, versus Team SmackDown of Heath Slater and Rhino, Zack Ryder and Mojo Rawley, American Alpha of Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, and Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso, and another tag team to be announced late on SmackDown. Intercontinental match is now advertising as Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler, and also Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg to round out the main event. I promise you news on the Kid Cash MMA match, and here's a link for that, as he lost in a 38-second match. And don't forget, he challenged CM Punk, and CM Punk's match about the same amount of time. So I commented on Twitter, well, there goes your bookings. Well, it's even odds now. And that was Kid Cash's first MMA fight since 2008. And again, go to that link for you. Congratulations to both Kurt Angle and Robbie E. Both of them who have had children over the weekend from their wives. Kurt Angle's link, if it even comes up, as I try to pull it up, to get a picture of it, and is also on Instagram. KurtAngleBrand.com/family. Robbie E. and his, I'll show you a picture. I can't even get that picture. But I did get a picture of Robbie E. and his wife, Tara, who had twin boys named Carter and Cash on Thursday afternoon. I congratulated him on Twitter earlier today myself. Name of Carter Stone Strauss was born at 1:31 p.m., weighing in at 5 pounds 15 ounces and only 18 inches long. Cash Stevens was born at 1:32 p.m. 1 minute later, weighing in at 5 pounds 9 ounces and height of 18 inches long. Well, Road Dogg is celebrating his 6-year anniversary of sobriety. And he tweeted the following, at WWE Road Dogg. Good morning from Glasgow, Scotland. Today I've been sober 6 years. Today I pray that I remember how I've stayed that way and stay the course. And Dana Brooke also commented on him, at WWE Road Dogg. Congrats. Takes a very strong person to stay on that path. Huge inspiration to many. Next week's Raw, advertising from Buffalo, will be a loaded show with a final build for Survivor Series. Besides Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg being advertised, also announcing that SmackDown bosses Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan will also be an appearance. And I think on SmackDown, on Raw tonight, Stephanie was calling Shane, and I think they invited him to SmackDown for tomorrow night. It would be interesting to see how WWE edits Raw tonight, because it was spoiled earlier today, and I got spoilers from Scotland before it aired on the USA Network. Besides loud ICW chants during the Noam Dar's debuting tonight, the crowd used Bayley chants to hijack the segment with Raw Women's Champions Charlotte Flair and many others. And that was your cheers for tonight. Who got the loudest chant? Bayley did. Because they were singing her song through their entire match. And here's a video of the segment, which does contain Team Raw's Survivor Series. Spoilers. Well, not a spoiler anymore. Of course, it's on Twitter. Paul Jacks attended Raw live event in Glasgow, Scotland. Posted the spoilers for Superstars. Neville pinned Titus O'Neil with a red arrow. Bo Dallas defeated Darren Young. Rory posted for spoilers for Raw in Glasgow, Scotland. Stephanie McMahon kicked off the show with Braun Strowman, Chris Jericho, and Universal Champion Kevin Owens and U.S. champion Roman Reigns. She revealed that the 5th member of Team Raw at Survivor Series, it comes out Seth Rollins. Decent pop for everyone but Reigns. This leads to tonight's main event being made. Fatal 5-way with Reigns versus Strowman versus Rollins versus Owens versus Jericho. I checked on the spoilers during the after the first segment there. Sin Cara and Rich Swann versus Raw Cruiserweight champion Brian Kendrick and Noam Dar is next. Huge pop for Dar in his debut. Lots of ICW chants. Cara and Swann got the pinfall. Got the win. After the match, as I seen it on the show, Brian Kendrick got on the mic and blamed Noam Dar on the loss. So Brian Kendrick said he didn't lose it. Noam Dar did. And Brian tried to get the upper hand, but Dar got the upper hand, and they played his music in the segment. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson defeated the Raw Tag Team Champions New Day in a non-title match. New Day wrestled in kilts as they were doing the gimmick from the movie. The one with the movie Braveheart. There was also a pre-match stuff with Cesaro, Sheamus, and Enzo Amore and Big Cass for Team Raw at Survivor Series. Well, what do you want me to do? I'll go ahead and do an impersonation of Enzo Amore. My name is Enzo Amore, and I am a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this here is my tag team partner, and he's 7 foot tall, and you can't teach that. Big Cass. Well, like I said, that's they did a skit with every one of them doing the Survivor Series team, disagreeing with who's the captains of the team. Shiny Stars defeated Goldust and R-Truth, and it was for the Survivor Series spot, but they did a segment earlier stating that R-Truth, take it back, Goldust got a sale on a timeshare from the Shiny Stars. Truth wasn't happy about it, so it set up a match. Which the Shiny Stars got the spot for the match. Sami Zayn versus Rusev took place later with the winner facing Dolph Ziggler at Survivor Series. Team Raw is revealed to be Charlotte Flair for the women. Charlotte, Bayley, Alicia, Nia Jackson, Sasha Banks segment was hijacked by the crowd with a Bayley chant, which set up a match later. Bayley, Sasha, and Alicia Fox defeated Charlotte, Dana, and Nia when Bayley pinned Charlotte. Was it Bayley to Belly? Bayley, no, they pronounce it. And number one contender again. Sami Zayn defeated Rusev to earn the shot against the Intercontinental Champion Dolph Ziggler at Survivor Series. Kevin Owens defeated Braun Strowman, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins in the main event. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns in a fatal 5-way. The finish saw Reigns Superman punch Owens, which caused Owens to fall on top of Jericho for the pinfall. What happened after Raw went off the air? In Scotland, dark match, main event. Seth Rollins defeated Kevin Owens by disqualification in a Universal title match. Chris Jericho caused the disqualification. Enzo Amore and Big Cass made the save. The night ended with 5 men trading insults in a very entertaining bit. And that concludes my video for this week's Raw and Superstars. Thanks again. Peace out. See you on be. By the way, if you don't know, just call me brothers and sisters.